Okay, we're getting started. Is the camera okay? The camera's okay, yeah. Hey, everyone. Interesting. We're going to do some meditations on massive groups of people. And it said in some certain meditation circles, doesn't matter if there's one or two of you doing it. Still has the same effect, imagining many, many people. So they don't have to be right here in the room. We'll bring them in our meditation. Okay. Let's just start with what we know from calm abiding meditation. Just settling our minds on the breath. Remember, this is the foundation for the analytical meditation, right? When we have a stable mind, a focused mind, then we can go deeper into the analysis, into the subject. Okay. Ready? So just start with settling in your body for a few moments. Noticing your posture. Noticing the sensations in your body. And then turning your attention to the breath. Just anchor your attention onto the sensations of the breath. To the coming and going of the breath. Thoughts will still arise that can bubble up in the background, but see if your main attention can be on the breath. And then if any distractions happen, just return attention to the breath. Just one breath after another. Just stay with it and notice it. And rest your mind in this watching of the breath. It's relaxing, and yet we can avoid getting sleepy by staying vividly present each moment. Okay. And when you're ready to come back to the room, and oh, it's not like you left it, but you're ready to open your eyes. Maintain that same level of focus and calm as we listen to the topic tonight. Nice to see people wanting to stay in meditation. Yeah. Nice. Okay. So, they say to meditate successively, it's better to do a number of short sessions like that and really hone in the skill of actually being on the breath instead of trying to do like 25 minutes where you're on the breath, off the breath. It's not training the mind to be doing what we need to be doing, right? So when we do a lot of short sessions, then you end before you get frustrated or too sleepy or too distracted, and then the skill comes back easier. So they say at the beginning of meditation, do more short sessions. Okay, do them more frequently. Okay. Okay, let's talk about generosity tonight. Nice topic. We're taught as little kids that we need to save money, take care of ourselves, look out for yourself in life, right? Now, of course, it's kind of true what we talked about before, that in order to take care of someone else, if you're on the airplane and the oxygen goes down, you need to put on your own mask, right? So there's some wisdom to that, right? Taking care of yourself. Makes sense. However, we live in a society, especially, that says me and mine, doesn't it? It's really emphasized, me and mine. And we tend to occupy our minds with a lot of me and mine. Generosity, the way it's defined in this program, is giving to others without any kind of strings attached at all. No strings attached. You don't want anything back. You don't want, doesn't matter if somebody says thank you. Doesn't matter if you get attention or a good reputation, praise, or money back. So we have to watch our minds because we tend to subtly, unconsciously want back, don't we? If we're really honest with ourselves, we tend to want back something in return. So the generosity that's described in this wisdom and compassion program is that we don't need praise, we don't need attention, we don't need recognition. We're giving for the sake of giving. And have you ever felt when somebody's given to you and there wasn't any strings attached? Have you ever felt that? It's pretty powerful, isn't it? When you can feel that love from someone, that generosity, that open heart, and it's like pretty amazing, isn't it? Because we know the other side. And then we know if we're honest, like we went over last week, when we give and we don't have strings attached, what that feels like, versus when we're upset afterwards that we didn't get something back, right? We've all had that experience, I'm sure. The benefits are really big around giving. First of all, the other person receives, right? They receive something, benefit for them. And then for ourselves, the social psychologists say the benefits are actually often greater for the giver than the receiver. Kind of cool, huh? Greater for the giver than the receiver. It makes us happy. And in this program, we're talking about the kind of happiness that we can get from giving, even if it costs you a little bit to give. Even if you have to go out of your way. Even if there's a little bit of loss or time or frustration or whatever. The giving was so important to us that we're happy, right? I'm sure you've all experienced it. Giving isn't just material. Giving can be, oh, is somebody here?
I'm just checking the doors.
Sounds like maybe somebody's here. Giving doesn't have to be just money or resources, financial resources. It can be our time. It can be our expertise, our skill, our knowledge. It can be just being present with somebody who's sick or depressed or tired. That's a form of giving, isn't it? It is, isn't it? It's not the size of the object. It's not the amount of time. It's not how big we give of the thing or the time. It's really more of, I think, this wish for that person's needs to be met, right? Have you ever watched, like in a hospital or in a place where somebody's kind of vulnerable and there's just somebody just gives by a certain touch, certain, I look in the eye, giving, and it can be so tiny, but so profound for the other person, right? There was this man in Philadelphia I read about years ago. He owned a lot of properties. He was fine. His family was fine. He was a doctor. And he decided he wanted to give a kidney away, one of his kidneys, to a patient he didn't have any relationship with them. And his family was really mad at him. They're like, no, you're not giving your kidney away. So he snuck out in the middle of the night, went to the hospital and gave his kidney away. And I think the article was entitled something like, can giving be too much? So the giving we're going to do in the meditation tonight is pretty big. Doesn't have to entail giving your kidney away, though. It can be very, very small, or it can be that size. It's up to us. Okay. So that's what it is, giving without any kind of need for us to have to be met by the other person or people. And even if it's at the cost of some kind of discomfort, right? Oh, it's all about the other person's need. And then we benefit as they do, don't we? Maybe even more so. So we're going to take 10 minutes. We're going to talk as a group here because there's only a few of us. Our group has gotten small, cozy. So let's talk for a good, think for a minute about anything that comes up. Any questions, any input, anything you want to say. You agree, you disagree, anything to add?
I'll let Christine go first. She's meditating.
Oh, thank you so much for that. I'm adjusting back to the Pacific time zone. So, I apologize.
No problem. Glad you're here. Did you want to say something? You're thinking?
Um, on the subject of generosity, I'm sorry, can you please re-give the prompt?
Oh, what is it you want to add, ask, contribute?
Oh.
Anything?
Um, it's interesting. So I noticed for me, especially as the holiday season is coming up, um, I- we don't do large Christmas celebrations, but I see the consumerism and and the almost the obsession of consumerism with the finding that perfect gift, giving that something. And for me, it seems almost disingenuous, because it's really about the person who's purchasing the gift. It's not really about, this is not everyone. I'm not, I'm going broad here, but it's not about the person who's receiving it. It's about the process and the person who's buying it. And they've created a whole entire industry around it. And I refer to those as the Hallmark holidays, brought to you by Hallmark. Venerable, I think a question I would love, what is a good way to not be sucked into that consumerism, to continue to give from the heart, from a place of from that place without being in that Hallmark frenzy.
Yeah, I think one thing that comes to mind as you're speaking, Christine, is what's underneath that frenzy for us as individuals? Is it, I want something back in the form of I want to be liked by this person I give the gift to? Is it I want to look a certain way? If the gifting is off, as you're describing, because of the consumerism, what's underneath that consumerism that we've been saying as a theme, if you hear, for this program? Staying away from reputation being the most important thing. Staying away from me, right? Possessions, depending on what, or depending on wanting something back, right? Giving back. In Buddhism, they call it the 8 worldly dharmas, always caught up in gain and loss, pleasure and pain, right? Reputation, bad reputation. We can get caught up in those with gifting, can't we? Very easily. I don't know if in Hallmark itself is a bad thing, as far as like traditions to giving, but those are the things underneath it. So instead of pointing out like the culture, we can look at our own mind and say, what about me? Because we can't control our whole culture, but we can control our own mind, can't we? Right? It's much more empowering to say, what does gifting mean to me? Either spiritually or psychologically or ethically. I think that gives more meaning to it. Right? I mean, it's not that we don't have, like I mentioned it earlier, the cultural thing about me and mine. But do we have to buy into it? Are we helpless? No, we're not helpless. We have choice. I think. Do we? We have choice around those things? What do you think, Christine? I'm
Oh
gonna do
yeah,
my research. Go ahead.
abs absolutely. And then I have, if I may follow that up with one more question,
Yeah.
but kind of a little bit in a different direction. Um, so when we did interjections, I was saying, we utilize the 16 guidelines for families and loved ones of those who have been in active addiction or are in recovery from active addiction. And when we talk about generosity, in the weekly, in the weekly group that we have, when we talk about generosity, we talk about self-compassion and ourselves grace, giving ourselves permission to be hurt, to be sad, to accept things as they are. And I just, in that particular lens, in that scenario, I wondered if you had any additional ideas or ways that we could present generosity to our group.
So generosity within the context of
Lofty quite
self-compassion.
well. They are, so the group that we have, they are the loved ones of those who are either in recovery from substance use, typically a partner, a spouse or a partner, and the generosity of giving yourself permission to
Oh,
be giving
to have
yourself giving yourself
to have the feel.
giving yourself you're right, to have the feelings exactly. And do you have other thoughts of ways we could expand on that and make that useful?
It's really interesting. It's hard for me to answer that question without knowing the folks, like
Right.
them. It's kind of like when I work with teenagers or kids in school, the more time I spend with them, the more I have ideas around what works for them. It's kind of interesting because this thing of taking care of yourself and generosity in the context of what we're talking about here with this program is they're kind of two different things in some ways. In some ways, like I said earlier, if there's a lack of oxygen on the airplane, you need to take care of yourself first, or if somebody wants to give money away, but you don't have a job, you need to take care of yourself and get the job. And then you can give people money if that's what you're trying to do. So we're kind of mixing a couple things here. You're using the word generosity, but I think really what you mean more is self-care or self-compassion. That's what I'm hearing. As you're describing it, it's sounding more like self-care. Because being able to hold and handle your feelings is more self-care. Generosity is an outward, there's no doubt about it. Generosity is an outward act toward others. We're focusing on others. And there's a natural bylaw that things come back to you, right? We know that, don't we? You ever watch somebody who's really generous? Like you leading the groups that you're leading? That's an act of generosity, right? And I can hear you wanting to help them. But the only thing that's coming to mind is that these are two different things, sort of. See what I'm saying? Self-care, it needs to be about me because it's self-care. Directly, generosity is about others, and in an indirect way, we are taking care of ourselves. As far as dealing with the feelings, you need to find out the modality for each person. Some like to do artwork, some like to cry, outwardly cry. I mean, we're all different as far as how we deal with our emotions. Mostly naming them and accepting them. And like I said, when I did this talk here last Sunday, when I talked to teenage boys who have a hard time with their feelings and some have had trauma, who have a hard time, they're on the edge of crying, I say, honey, it's no different than farting and burping. Got to get it out. And then they cry. Or sneezing. So anyway, I'm going to put a pause button on that. Is that okay? We move on? Yeah? I don't know if
Thank
that's
you.
something to think about. Gracias a ti. Who else has something to say? Share before we go.
By generosity, I've found that it's a lot easier to give or receive from somebody that you don't know at all and you're never going to see again. I found that to be so authentic and so in the moment, and it feels so good. One example is my mom had 2 knee replacements at Stanford. We went to Santa Cruz. We were on the top of some cliff drive, whatever, to see the ocean. And the people next door just offered us some apples.
Uh-huh.
And it was so nice. And then in return, of course, I had some beers or whatever I had. We shared, and that's an example. But could be also you're traveling and somebody needs something. You're in grocery line and somebody says, "Hey, can you buy this for me?" Fine. That somehow always felt good because it was spontaneous. It will never see this person again, but you made him feel good, and vice versa. You were lost, and somebody took their time to come and show you how to get to your destination. And those always felt really good to me, and also feel good if I am in a position to give that. The gifting business is such a stressful thing for me because you don't know first what to buy. Did you buy enough? Did I like it? Did I like it? It could be a wedding, could be a birthday, it could be Christmas. It's always stressful. And it was anniversary. I went to an anniversary a couple of nights ago. To me, I brought a gift, but I brought cash because I didn't know what else to get. But that whole gift giving, I'm not sure if it's the act of giving, but if you can give with time, especially non-tangible stuff, as you said, time, knowledge. And the last thing is my dad always says, the bigger heart you have, the more God will give you to give. So you're a medium basically for this business. And I've seen he gives to people that are needy and nobody knows about him. And my uncle is the same thing. And when my uncle passed away, a lot of people came out and said, yeah, they had a weekly allowance from him, but nobody knew. But yet somehow the universe brought him more so he can give more. So I'm going to quiet down now and not say anymore.
Those are some good points. So one thing we're going to look at in the meditation, and I'll just bring it up now, is what is it that blocks us sometimes from giving? some of the beliefs or the thoughts that we have. Like, oh, this is not the good of a gift, right? Sometimes we do that, right? Or it's not that important, or I'm incapable. Lots of ideas about that, right? Or I'm not intelligent enough to do this. Well, giving doesn't have to do with the size of the gift. It doesn't have to do with your level of intelligence. It doesn't have to do with much more than wanting to give. It's almost like the object or the time or whatever is not as relevant as the giving itself. That's the point. And so why do we give easier to other people? I've noticed it too in life that people tend to give strangers easier sometimes. I think because we don't have all these feelings of hurt or rejection, some of these more sensitive things around people we're close to, or we're afraid there's going to be expectations on us, or vice versa. So this is things that we just need to work with. Anybody else who's sitting in the room want to share anything to say? Any thoughts before we meditate? No? Looks like there might be something. Somehow I have a feeling you have something to say. No? Yeah.
You know what I've been thinking is how driving can bring out generosity. And it makes everything less stressful.
How's that?
Well, if you let somebody in, you know, it's merging. It just makes everything go better. That's a skill I recently picked up after all these years. And to me, it's about realizing they're just like me. They just want to get home.
So cool.
Yeah. I mean, you can put generosity in a lot of areas.
That's right. More to say about that?
No.
Okay. Okay. Isabella or Gustavo, anything to say? Any thoughts? You have time.
I mean, I'm not feeling particularly inspired by anything to say, to share. But
Don't have to.
yeah, and yeah, I don't know. Because it's so broad, we're just talking like it's in such a broad way of understanding or experiencing generosity. I think that line between like obligatory giving versus giving from a sincere place, authentic, within your heart, within a compassionate receptivity or perceptivity. Those are two totally different experiences, and yeah, I don't know, it just makes me think of the other one. We did a session with giving, right?
Sorry?
Giving, receiving. Did we do a session?
Tonglen, you mean?
No, during the guidelines have we done?
Well, we're doing generosity now.
Okay. Maybe I'm mixing that up with another session, but
Delight, maybe? I don't know.
yeah. Anyways, I think that coming from a place when you're giving and you're doing it without anything in return, you know, like you don't feel an obligation by any means, and you're doing it out of the goodness of your heart. It's an incredibly liberating and empowering place to be, because ultimately you're doing it for yourself, but then understanding that that person is a reflection of you, and it kind of it dissolves the illusion of separation. It brings you into unification of the experience, which is really beautiful, and what I'm constantly looking to experience in this life is to see separation come into oneness with whatever I'm doing or experiencing or feeling or whoever I'm with. And I think a lot of my frustration and my suffering, my pain comes from the fact that separation, the illusion of it, has such a strong hold. So my point being that like generosity can soften those edges of separation and help with this unification of the soul and the self, and melt down the egoic identifications and insecurities. But it has to come from a pure place.
Yeah,
Because if it's not, then it will just inflame the ego.
that's right.
And so that is tricky sometimes.
That's right.
But yeah,
So you're speaking in alignment with the program, that it needs to not come from obligation, guilt or shame, or have to, wanting to get something. Anything to say, Gustavo, before we practice? No. Yeah. Okay, so let's practice a little bit more together, yeah? It's a great topic. I love this topic, generosity. Okay. One trick when you're meditating in a chair is you can pull back from being glued to the back of it. Kind of helps the posture stay straight. You can, if you need to, lean onto the chair. Okay, so let's get comfortable in our posture. And just for a moment, go back to that breath. Noticing the breath. The inhale and the exhale, just following it for a few rounds. Just resting, being focused in the moment with the breath. Let's turn our attention now onto generosity. And we can start with thinking, is generosity about just giving away something I don't need anymore? Is it about doing something out of obligation, like was meant earlier? Or what was said earlier, rather? Or is generosity about something deeper than either of those? About giving to dissolve that illusion of separation. Can you think about the last time you gave to someone, or even an animal, or a person? Huh. Well, think about a person with no strings whatsoever, without wanting anything at all in return. Giving with a feeling of not needing to gain anything. We can think about giving as all about meeting the needs of the other person. No matter, even if it's an inconvenience to us. That's one way we can think of giving. And when we do that, as we've experienced probably, there are these unexpected benefits. The heart tends to open with a sense of joy. Think about someone you know who gives freely. Think about the quality of that person's life. We've all met somebody like that. If I'm not quite there yet, how do I inch toward that myself? Think about that for a minute. Without obligation, without attachments, just giving. And let's think about now all the ways that we can give. And then what gets in our way? These ideas, they're just ideas. Well, I don't have that much money, I can't give, I'm incapable, whatever it is. Whatever kind of a block that we have in our heart around giving. See if we can touch on that now. And one of the ways to counter that is to realize that giving has nothing to do with these ideas of capable or not having enough money or status or intelligence. It's about an act of an open heart. Like Isabella said, to break down this illusion of separation, this opening of the heart to others. Let's do an exercise now. I want to invite you to imagine a huge crowd around you. We're going to bring in all the people you know, all the strangers, and all the difficult ones. The whole world. Put in front of you any difficult ones, could be politicians these times, some enemies, anybody who you don't like that much. Put them right in front of you. And behind you, put all your close family members, people you feel attached to. Put them right behind you. They're there, but we're just not thinking of them as more important. And then all around on the sides are all kinds of people from different countries, different cultures and ethnicities. See if you can fill the room with the faces and the images of everyone, a huge crowd around you. So it extends out past Pacific Garden Mall. Just goes on and on and on, this crowd. Just in your heart, bring them here, like you're thinking about them. Now, I want you to think about one small thing that you choose, no obligation, but from your heart, that's easy for you to give. Could be a quarter, could be $1, something very easy. And all these beings, and loved ones behind you, enemies in front, many, 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 many strangers, hundreds and thousands of them, huge crowd, are all looking at you. And as you give this quarter or $1 or whatever it is, it multiplies. And it multiplies. And it multiplies. So imagine each of them is receiving it, the best of your imagination. Imagine their hands open to it, and they become happy from it. As powerfully as you can, try to imagine that you are giving this quarter or $1 that's multiplying into millions and zillions of dollars. Each and every one of them gets what they need. Notice how your body feels. Imagine that multiplying keeps happening. It's like a ripple effect. They keep receiving it, and it's making them happy. Notice how you feel from just that one quarter, $1. And now if you can let that fade away, but they're still there, think about something that's more precious to you. Maybe a little bit harder to give away. Bring something up that they could enjoy. You pick what it is. Something that most people could enjoy that you hold dear as precious. And start giving it away. Volunteer it from your heart. It's not obligatory, but just for the sake of practicing generosity from the heart, let it multiply. Maybe it's your car, your house, and your imagination. Just give. Let it multiply, let it ripple out. They all receive this amazing gift from their view. All your enemies are happy, family members, friends, and you're completely letting go of it. And there's more and more of them multiplying out. As powerfully as you can, allow yourself to experience their happiness. And let's change it a little bit now. Let's think about the more specific needs of the crowds and whatever service. Maybe you can pick one or a few of them. Maybe of these multitudes of people, they need cleaning or babysitting, or to just hold their groceries for them, or to garden. So imagine that whatever service you have, you're multiplying it out to all these areas all around you. And these multitudes of beings, of these people are receiving it, and they're grateful, and you, because of that, you keep giving. Imagine what they feel like, that you've dusted the house for them, you've helped them with the baby, you cared for them, cut their lawn, whatever they needed. Just make it up and let it expand out. Multiply it, like let your imagination go. And notice how you feel giving service. Maybe anything. Helping them with computers, helping them with rides, letting them pass on the highway. Keep giving to them. Powerfully as you can. Imagine their gratitude and happiness and receive whatever you receive back. Joy, satisfaction. Stay with it. And now for the last piece we're going to do here. This is where we get very imaginative. Imagine that you have superhero powers. And pick a group or two of people who are vulnerable. It could be elderly or children. And you can send them a gift to each and every one of them all over the world in this vulnerable group. It's like you can heal them all with your hand. You can eliminate their cancer. You can give them food if they're in poverty. Add anything that appeals to your heart that you can give to alleviate people's suffering, to fill their needs, climate change to be resolved. Keep multiplying it out so more and more people are benefiting from your generosity. Imagine if you could calm all the anger in the world with this superhero power, and you choose to do it. And the wars end, the droughts end. Just for the sake of imagining generosity, see if you can let yourself do that. And allow it to expand out, and as much as you can imagine how it affects people getting their needs met, flourishing because of your generosity. Stay with that. Imagine you're actually doing it. Let the ripple effects happen and just kind of cherish this moment of being the best giver in the whole world. We might not have superheroes, superhero powers, but we have unbelievable potential to give and keep giving. So just think about in this reflection, what was the most beneficial to you? If it was a feeling, if it was a new thought, go back to that and stay with it for a minute. And stabilize that in your heart and in your body. You can choose to come back to it at any time. May the benefit of generosity affect you every day of your life. May it affect those in your family, friends, your loved ones, all the strangers you see, and may it definitely benefit our favorite enemies. Okay. I'm going to do the dedication. For all those who are ill, mentally or physically, dedicate. For them to have good health. To those who are hungry or thirsty, to have food and drink. Those who are being harmed by violence, war, or conflict. As the result of these thoughts, may they be at peace. Those who don't have a home, be warm and safe. Those who are lonely, living in disharmony, or having financial pressure, to end all their worries and increase their happiness. How wonderful if everyone in this room, and Zoom room, and everyone with whom you've come in contact to have a peaceful and meaningful life. Thank you. We have 2-3 minutes for any feedback, any aha points, any questions. So speak now or forever hold your truth. How was it? What do you think? What's your feelings? Couple of minutes, it just popcorn style, a few insights or experience.
It needs to be longer.
Oh, okay, you can speak, Christine.
It needs to be longer.
I know, I was looking at the clock and had to shorten it. Does that mean that you were enjoying it?
Very much so. Very much so.
What was it specifically that you were experiencing, Christine, that made you want to do it more?
I appreciate I very much appreciate the meditations, the two different meditations in the beginning and in the end. And I think the meditation in the end would be more beneficial if there were longer periods of time of discussion in between.
Okay, great. I know, I think we need an hour and a half, but
Yeah.
yeah, thank you. Anybody else? Any insight, question, comment? Does it seem like a meditation you would do again? Oh, Christine's gone. Good night.
One of the things that came up for me was the power of presence, and how presence is like probably one of the greatest gifts, if not the greatest gift we can ever give, in my opinion. Like loving awareness and presence is greater than anything that you can physically give to anybody. And so that was a part of it. And sometimes that's really hard to do, because the present moment can be so unbearable. And Thich Nhat Hanh talks about that, like like loving awareness in the face of like unbearable pain. But yeah, it's one of the greatest things that we can do for another person, is to like really see them.
Were you doing that in a meditation? Were you bringing that in?
Yeah, when I was thinking about all these people around me, and like what's something that I could give and multiply, I was thinking of just really embracing each person, and how as I embrace that individual, then that multiplies, and then that person embraces the next person around them, and it's like this cascading, enveloping of like loving presence and belongings. You know, like if we can bring belonging to each other and be a witness, how precious that is, and how we all want it. It's like one of the greatest gifts. But when I think about what I'd like to receive, it's like I want to feel loved, accepted, and seen in all my flaws and colors, and I don't need all of these other physical aspects. I just want to feel like we're there without all of the other mirages of life.
Very profound.
Mm.
We're out of time, but
Thank you.
thank you so much for coming.
Thank you.
Maybe we can email Christine and see if everything's okay?
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you want to say something for it? You did, no?
I'm good. I'm good. Thank you.
Okay. Share it next time. Next week is your last week for this part of the series. Yeah.
See you next week.
Buenas noches. Good night.
Bueno, yeah, prenota.
All right. Good night, Gustavo. Bye.